hello. Welcome to our quick David67 Celtic News YouTube live stream. Was planning to do a video today, but a bit short of time, and live stream gives me a wee bit of more flexibility. I've got quite a number of things to do in normal day-to-day life this afternoon, and so doing a wee pre-lunchtime live stream. Hopefully one or two people may be able to join the live stream and take part in any kind of chat, questions and debate, etc. But if not, there's the comment section that goes with the as live taped version of the live stream. And as always, delighted to reply to any kind of comments or opinions in the comment section after the video and the live stream has been streamed and gone live. So today's video, as I say, is a post-match reaction to yesterday's 3-1 win over St Johnstone. Not a great believer in doing live streams or post-match reaction videos straight after the game. I think sometimes your emotions get the better of you. You see things less clearly. One or two bits of poor memory or remembering something that didn't actually happen. And so I think it's always a good idea to watch TV highlights, have a look at YouTube highlights, read through a few articles and other fan sites, etc. And then give a more measured reaction a few hours later, or usually first thing the next morning. So in the end, good win for Celtic. Keeps us 8 points clear at the top, which is going to be a very useful buffer to keep us through the season. Very busy spell leading up to Christmas and into the new year, with another game on Wednesday against Hibs, then regular games at the weekend and midweek right through to the start of 2024. Then there will be a wee bit of a mid-season break for a couple of weeks or so, and then FA Cup match against the might of Bucky Thistle, and then back into league action. As I may have mentioned quite a few times, Celtic are going to be a bit more weak than our biggest rivals in the first 5-6 weeks of the season, with the Asian Cup. Asian Cup likely to take us, mean that, assuming that they're all back to fitness, Hatate, Kyogo and Maeda will be all away. O will be away with South Korea, and Yang is very much in Jurgen Klinsmann's plans in the South Korea squad, so he'll likely be missing as well. Marco Tilio technically could be off to the Asian Cup as well, because Australia are in the Asian Cup, but I suspect that his amazing lack of game time, which doesn't seem to have any obvious explanation from Rodgers as to why Tilio came on for 5 minutes against Motherwell, looked full of pace, full of attack within the confines of 5 minutes in added time, when Celtic were frantically trying to recover from the Motherwell equaliser. So I suspect that the Australian manager won't be calling up Marco Tilio for the Asian Cup, which in the end might well work out well for Marco Tilio, because at least it gives him a fighting chance of actually getting some playing time. I think everybody can agree that Celtic yesterday had a very disappointing hour spell from early in the first half to around about the hour mark. Happily, good substitution by Brendan Rodgers, and a lot more fight, aggression and attack coming from the players, playing with the kind of pace they used to use all year all season long under Ange Postecoglou. It was kind of like watching an Ange Postecoglou style team with the amount of attack, quick restarts, and putting all the pressure on the St Johnstone. I have to say, first 5-10 minutes, Celtic in the first half were doing well. They were playing with quite a lot of aggression, pushing St Johnstone further back. Kyogo had a half chance. Matt O'Reilly probably more of a three-quarters chance. He was only maybe 7-8 yards out, right in the middle of the goal, and he scuffed his shot when probably he really should have been at least hitting the target and giving the goalie a hard save to make. Thereafter, we seemed to completely lose our focus. It was reminiscent of early in the season when Brendan Rodgers seemed to be so keen on playing side to side, lots and lots of lateral passes or back passes, nothing going forward. For some reason, Palma and Yang were being kept on their wing. Neither were breaking into the box. Neither of them were coming in to support Kyogo. Turnbull never getting into the box to support Kyogo. O'Reilly did a few times get into the box to support Kyogo, but there's Kyogo in a forest of St Johnstone defenders, 5-6 men round him, a bank of 2 or 3 St Johnstone defenders in front of that. Very cleverly, St Johnstone working in 2s and 3s to block off Yang or Palma going to the byline. And so, as we demonstrated in the game against Aberdeen, one can pass through those sorts of triangles, get Yang, Palma, Kyogo through into the box. Palma did try a few times to get such passes into Kyogo, but there were just too many players with no one supporting Kyogo. Yang had a poor game. Nobody can deny that. Only thing to be said for Yang was when St Johnstone were getting more and more into the game, putting more and more pressure on Celtic's defensive four, Yang was tracking back. When you look at the heat map of his half and Mikey Johnston's half, Mikey Johnston certainly slightly more active in the final third, very little activity in midfield, and absolutely no activity in the Celtic half. Yang did track back, trying to be a Maeda-style replacement. He did help out the defence, he did help out the midfield, he did come for passes to take the pressure off McGregor and O'Reilly. David Turnbull, a typical David Turnbull performance for me. Lots of a few nice touches in the final third. Lovely curling shot that was brilliantly saved by Mitov, the St Johnstone goalkeeper. Turnbull did score the goal in the first half that was disallowed, getting into the box, but scarcely ever did you see Turnbull coming back to help out O'Reilly and McGregor in midfield. He was never there for 1-2s, never there to take relieving passes, never there showing himself for the ball. And as I said, apart from the time he got into the box for the disallowed goal, never getting into the box as an additional striker, additional attacking threat. And I think that this explains just why Rodgers is so frustrated with Turnbull and Mikey Johnston. Mikey Johnston did come on for Yang at half-time, and Mikey Johnston was better than Yang. However, that's not really saying very much on yesterday's performance. I thought Yang actually had several good performances leading into the Lazio game. He looked short of confidence in the Lazio game, and I think this carried over into this game. I think he was finding it difficult to get down the line or break in through the St Johnstone defence, partly because of lack of support from Turnbull and lack of Kyogo getting himself free in the middle. I do think it's rather bemusing that a lot of players are so condemnatory and hard on Yang for having a bad game, and so many people now calling for Yang to be thrown out, not good enough for Celtic, get rid of him. He was the South Korean Young Player of the Year. South Korea, a team well up in the FIFA rankings. And I think Yang is very much a player Celtic need to persist with. I think Yang probably over the next wee while should be more coming off the bench or alternating with the other options we have out wide, such as Forrest, Johnson, and Marco Tilio. I personally really would love to see Marco Tilio getting some game time. His brief few minutes against Motherwell, he did fine. His scouting reels are excellent. This time last year, he was in the Australian World Cup squad. So clearly is a player of great skill and ability. Was the Australian Player of the Year in the season leading up to his Celtic transfer. And I think either Brendan Rodgers really needs to come clean as to what is wrong with Marco Tilio. Has he got severe homesickness problems? Has he got fitness problems and his injury from the summer just hasn't healed up? Or is there something else that's causing him problems, which doesn't allow Rodgers even to put him on the bench? The other player I think who has been very badly done to recently is Tomoki Iwata. He has covered various different positions in defence and midfield at the end of last season. He's come on for several sub-appearances that looked really good, such as the game against Hearts. Nice performance as a sub, nice goal, and then you don't see him for several weeks, occasionally not even on the bench, never mind not coming on to play. Yesterday, I thought Rodgers made a very good substitution, bringing on Iwata when we were 2-1 up with about 10 minutes to go. I think that showed things up. Iwata is a very good at linking player, can help out defence, can cover in at full-back and even at centre-back. And I think he is a player we really should be looking at playing in the games against Hibs and over the next few weeks. I personally would love to see him starting against Hibs, starting against Feyenoord. I think that frees up O'Reilly and McGregor to get a bit further forward. And I think McGregor, as he proved yesterday afternoon, is a threat getting in and around the opposition box. McGregor has always been very skilled at long shots from the edge of the box and just outside. Matt O'Reilly yesterday obviously proved he's just as good as that too. And I think, for me, the combination of Iwata and O'Reilly and McGregor would be a good option to go with for the next few weeks. I don't think Turnbull is the answer. I don't think that Paulo Bernardo or Odin Thiago Holm has done quite enough to cement a regular starting place. Iwata, in the season leading up to his loan move last January, was the Player of the Year in the Japanese League. He has been in and around the Japanese squad. Rumours that Iwata might well be a player that the Japanese manager calls up for the Asian Cup at the start of next year, which of course would be yet another problem for Celtic. So I would love to see Iwata starting. Other thing that I really find hard to understand is quite why Nat Phillips seems to be the player chosen to be the centre-back cover when we have two young players on long-term contracts, Gustav Lagerbielke and Mike Nawrocki. Both of them, to the best of my knowledge, are back and fit. There's been no mention for 2 or 3 weeks about Nawrocki or Lagerbielke having any fitness problems. Both seem to be fully training. Both have been on the bench occasionally. But Nat Phillips seems to be Rodgers' number one choice for centre-back cover. Phillips has only got maybe 3-4 weeks left of his loan deal from Liverpool. He's hardly played for Celtic in that time. Unfortunately, started his loan deal with an injury. Took him a bit of time to get into the team. Shortly after that, of course, CCV came back, and Rodgers made the good option of keeping Scales in the team, as he played really well up until then. Personally, I can't see the point of having Nawrocki and Lagerbielke fully fit, sitting in the stands and not sitting on the bench with Phillips, who we've got for another 3 weeks, unless Rodgers has other plans. I don't think Phillips actually personally would be is any better than Lagerbielke or Nawrocki, and so I don't think there's any mileage anymore in having Phillips at the club. So may as well cut short his loan deal now, and let him get back to his highly paid reserve team football appearances for Liverpool and occasional sub-appearances for Liverpool in the European matches and Carabao Cup, etc. So I have to say I was a bit surprised at Rodgers' starting tactics and starting 11. I think it's time for us to give Liam Scales a go at left back in replacement of Greg Taylor. I really like Greg Taylor as a player. I think for all intents and purposes yesterday, with the St Johnstone 6-3-1 formation with no recognised striker, there was absolutely no reason for us to have 4 defenders back in the defensive zone, which was the case right up until the substitution. We seemed to have Johnston, Taylor, CCV and Scales all primarily defending. We could easily have had a back 3 with Johnston, Scales and CCV, pushed Greg Taylor up into a midfield role, wide on the left, allowing O'Reilly, Turnbull, McGregor all to get a bit further forward. It does seem to me that Rodgers is stuck in a 4-3-3, quite a bit of putting square pegs into round holes, not really using the players to their best of ability. Taylor and Johnston all played great under Postecoglou in this inverted fullback role, which occasionally those two are doing this year, but it seems Rodgers is keen for right backs to defend at right back, left backs to defend at left back. He also seems to have this bizarre idea that Greg Taylor at 5'7" can mark players who are 6'1", as was shown with the goal against Motherwell. Combination of Joe Hart not coming for the ball, CCV and Scales not taking control of the cross coming into the box to header it clear, having Greg Taylor marking someone 6 inches taller than him. It cost us the goal at against Motherwell. It cost us 2 points. We got away with it with a long throw into the box early in the first half. We got away with it with a curving cross from a corner in the first half. But then in around about 39 minutes, good curving cross from the corner by St Johnstone. CCV, Scales just looking at each other. Hart standing on his line, surrounded by St Johnstone players. Greg Taylor tries to jump, dwarfed by the St Johnstone player. Ball kind of ricochets, possibly a handball by the St Johnstone player. Wasn't really very clear from the replays whether that was or it wasn't. Bit of ricocheting about. Again, Hart, CCV, Scales, nobody taking control, taking charge. And O'Reilly tries to clear the ball, deflects off the St Johnstone player into the net. VAR didn't think there was a foul. I think technically there was a foul, but probably no more than usual in that situation in the box. Only thing that really struck me was there a handball by the St Johnstone player? VAR did take a pretty long time to look at it and decided not. Didn't really seem to kickstart Celtic for the rest of that half, nor the first 10-15 minutes of the second half. Johnstone did come on. He looked a bit more lively than Yang, as St Johnstone were retreating further and further back. It did mean that Johnstone was able to play a wee bit further forward and get more to the byline than Yang. However, having got to the byline, he wasted 6 crosses, hitting the first defender, or just simply chipping the ball into the goalkeeper's hands. I really was confused and bemused as to how Rodgers and so many pundits thought that Mikey Johnson had a great game. He was a wee bit better than Yang, but for me, no better than that. Again, Johnstone on only one occasion got into the box. As I said, nearly all his crosses and passes hit defenders or went to the goalkeeper or missed their target. He wasn't, for me, really an attacking threat. Looking more lively, certainly. Looking more busy than Yang. Being a wee bit more going forward than Yang. But I think that's due to the change in tactics when we came on with O, pushing the midfielders further forward, pushing the back four further forward, and pushing St Johnstone further and further back. The other key thing I thought was we started to get more and more and more players in the box. Don't think it's any coincidence when O got into the box, laid the ball off, the ball came out to Callum McGregor, and McGregor, brilliant shot to draw us level at 1-1. There were tons of Celtic players in the box, putting St Johnstone under pressure, stopping St Johnstone being able to swamp Kyogo and O'Reilly, who up to that point were really the only two getting into the box. I think it also allows Kyogo, if O is on the pitch, for Kyogo to have a wee bit more of a roaming role that tends to draw the defence out, creating more space behind or more space to play the ball through. Other great second goal by Matt O'Reilly. Again, St Johnstone on the attack, ball into the box. Their attack breaks down, but immediately ball gets out to Alsa Johnston, drives forward, great pass forward. Ball seems to deflect, for me, accidentally off Mikey Johnston's heel, although a lot of people seem to think it was a deliberate back heel flick into Kyogo's path. I think Mikey Johnstone was looking completely the other way. Ball hits his heel, and it, very luckily for us, goes to Kyogo. Kyogo controls it very well, brilliantly off to Matt O'Reilly, and then an absolute screamer into the top corner, putting us up late in the second half. In the 78th minute. Shortly after that, Lewis Palmer went off. Not sure if it's an injury. There certainly was no mention of an injury in Rodgers and McGregor's post-match comments. Haven't seen anything so far in the Celtic news sites, but that would be a bit of a worry for the game against Hibs in 2 days. However, James Forrest came on, almost immediately had a goal with a brilliant save by Mitov on 80 minutes. Celtic stayed pretty much on top the rest of normal time. However, 2 minutes into added time, Joe Hart had to do a brilliant scrambling save at the far post. Rather poor defending again by CCV, Scales and Greg Taylor to allow Stevie May, who is only actually 5'8", to get above them, and a nice flicking header towards the top corner, but Hart happily saved it very well. Ball went back into the box. CCV headed it out to James Forrest right on the edge of the Celtic box. He kicks the ball up. Then the ball gets out to Tomoki Iwata. Iwata, great run up the pitch. Crosses and lovely pass to James Forrest on the edge of the box. Good control and then a brilliant shot into the far corner. Put us 3-1 up and to guarantee the victory. Key things with that for me were obviously the Hart save, which was important. CCV getting the ball forward, looking to restart an attack. James Forrest tracking back from his position wide on the right, something that Mikey Johnson never seems to ever think about. I think something that David Turnbull never seems to think about, back to pick up the box. Lovely pass out, the ball then gets out to Iwata. Iwata, great run, and then Forrest, all that energy to get from one box to the other box, get the ball, and then very calmly score. Of all our wide player options, I think James Forrest is the better over Yang and Mikey Johnston. I think Forrest and Palmer should be the starters. And I think actually Rodgers needs to come clean as to why he's not playing Iwata and why he's not playing Tilio and why Tilio can't even get a place on the bench. He is incredibly fast compared to Johnston, Forrest, Yang. He's got the pace much like Maeda. Tilio can beat people just with his pace. He would be a great player to put the ball over the top for him to chase onto, kind of like Maeda often is used for Celtic. Brilliant at driving into the box, very good at ball at his feet, good finisher, also good ability at crosses, etc. And so I think Rodgers needs to come clean as to what he's doing with Tilio and what he's doing with Iwata. I think they're far too good players from what we've seen of them and what we've seen of Tilio from his time in Australia internationally and in the Australian League for him to be just crumbling and getting stiff in the stands and doing nothing but training at Lennox time. So in the end, I thought Celtic, good first 5-10 minutes, rotten next 50 odd minutes. Rodgers, good move, brings on O. The team then push further forward, start using more of the energy and pace and attack, so reminiscent of Ange Postecoglou's second 18 months after he got the tactics bedded down. And Celtic got a deserved 3-1 victory, keeps us 8 points ahead, and going into the Hibs match with hopefully more confidence and also a blueprint as to what to do better. I really am looking for Rodgers on Wednesday to bring in a few players, maybe move Scales out to left back, get Nawrocki in beside CCV, Lagerbielke on the bench, get Iwata into the team, playing in the more defensive midfield role, pushing McGregor and O'Reilly further forward. I suspect he's going to start Mikey Johnston on the right. I'm not convinced that's the right move. I would love for it to be for it to go well for Mikey Johnston. However, 4 years of Mikey Johnston failing, Mikey Johnston letting everybody down, Mikey Johnston letting himself down, Mikey Johnston wasting chances, and I thought personally against St Johnstone he wasted an awful lot of good crossing positions, a lot of good forward positions where he could have broken into the box, played 1-2s to get in behind the defence. However, a lot of people seem to think he was the bee's knees, and I would love to see what your own opinions regarding Mikey Johnston were and what you thought regarding Rodgers starting 4-3-3, stiff, restricted, slow, dead, uninspired selection and tactics was. So hopefully against Hibs we start with the fire, the passion, the aggression, the attack and the mentality we had for that last 30 minutes. I would love to see personally in some way or other O and Kyogo starting as a twosome up front. That might mean playing with one less wide player, also might mean playing a back three, Scales, Johnston and CCV. That also I think would work perfectly well, allowing us to have still have our midfield three, our wide two and our two up front. So I think there are a lot of options for Celtic going into the Hibs match. And I'm very hopeful that a combination of the praise for Celtic's final 30 minutes and also the opposite comments for the first 60 minutes or so of the game, we'll get to the players and get to Rodgers and get things tidied up for the Hibs match. I was so hopeful after the Aberdeen match, which was a great performance, had a lot of pace, aggression, attack, good skill. Palma and Yang breaking into the box, midfielders getting into the box to support Kyogo, and yet against Motherwell, we seem to have forgotten how to do that, and equally so for 60 minutes or so against St Johnstone yesterday. So, just about finishes off today's live stream. For those watching it delayed off tape, as I said, would love for any kind of comments regarding Celtic, regarding the game, regarding these opinions, and always lovely to debate, discuss with other Celtic fans. Also, for any people watching the channel who have yet not subscribed, please do, if you could, do click that subscribe button, click the like button for this video stroke live stream, and I will be putting up a Celtic versus Hibs related trivia question later this afternoon in the community section, the post section for this channel. So for today, thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and so goodbye. Speak again tomorrow. Hail, hail.